Welcome to the long promised and finally arriving AWA docent training program. What I intend to do here today is go through, the important portions of the museum. We'll start probably here in the Gernsback radio store of 1925. Talk a little bit about why we chose that year. We'll then move over and we'll look at some of the radios that we can demonstrate. And just because it's convenient, not necessarily any requirement to go through any sequence that I'm going through, but just because it's convenient, the equipment seems to be right here to my right or my left. We'll go through the maritime equipment into the broadcast equipment. We'll talk a little bit about the Western Union station here. Probably then move out to the television area, then into the back of the main room, which of course has the Edwin Howard Armstrong exhibit. And we'll just go from there around the circumference of the main area and eventually touch on the points. And then of course we want to go up to the third floor and look at some of the interesting items there. So again, welcome to the AWA docent training session. I will say that you are very, very important to the success of the organization. We just can't function without you, and we really, really appreciate your help and your activities in promoting the AWA in this wonderful, wonderful resource we have here in the AWA Museum. Okay, we are here in the 1925 radio store, and this is very typical of what you would find if you were indeed visiting your radio store in 1925. We chose the year 1925. Actually, it's a pretty interesting year. Broadcasting started in November of 1920 with KDKA, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That in itself is a little controversial. There's a lot of people that claim having done broadcasting prior to that. But KDKA was the first licensed broadcaster with a sponsor, broadcasting information to the public. So you put all those things combined and we recognize KDKA as the first broadcaster. So that was late 1920, 1921. So at that time there were literally no radio receivers in the home. I mean, the broadcasting hadn't started yet. Here 5 years later, there are now 5 million radio sets in the home. And what we find as historians is very interesting, is that half of those were homemade. So radio back then was just like computers are today. It was everything. It was the technology. It was the activity that people wanted to get into. So you had people building radio sets. It was very popular, especially it brought families together, fathers and sons. Were building radio sets on the kitchen table. Number one, it was cheap. And number two, it was a great family activity. So I'll move over here and we'll see some of the things that you might buy if you're building your own radio set. You would need some of these detectors. And these are crystal detectors. But if you wanted to, you could buy a ready-made crystal set, such as these on display on the top shelf, including ones that are extremely simple. Just a piece of press board, a cardboard tube, and a venerable crystal with a cat whisker. I mean, that you can't get any simpler than that. But this was a working, functional radio that any family could afford, as long as you were close to the station. So you could build your own set, or if you were a pretty affluent family, you could buy any one of the factory-made sets that are on display here. Again, all from the 1922, 1925 time frame. A very good representative example here of radios of that period. We also have speakers, horn speakers. In just a minute, I'm going to have you look behind you because we have the horn type speakers on display, and then up behind you you'll find cone type speakers. And something that you might want to do, come in a little bit early sometime, or when you're not busy, is turn on the tape recorder, which will show you when we get in the other room. And this switch will take the output of the recorder in the other room that plays period music and switch it between cone speakers and horn speakers, so you can hear the difference. So you'll want to experiment with that. One of the things we like to do with people when we're here is, whenever possible, is to demonstrate things. We have a lot of working displays. And one of the things that we have here in the 1925 store is this Radiola 3 receiver. You can put the headphones on, press this button, which is just a switch that turns on the batteries, and it works great. This is really a fine working receiver. You can tune in a station here with the right hand dial. It's even labeled station selector, and then the regeneration or amplification control is here. So let people listen to that and try it, and they can hear what an actual 1922-23 set would sound like. This sold for about $29 in 1923, which actually was a pretty princely sum even back then, but it was a very, very, very popular radio. Popularly priced, and worked well for the average homeowner. It would only, however, drive headphones. You could not run a speaker, a loudspeaker, with this radio. So that differentiates small homebrew, easy to build radios from the next family, and that would be what we call the TRF radio, or the 3 dialer.